So last week, we covered Donald Trump and Mike Pence and their first joint sit-down interview with 60 Minutes. And I think I titled the video, Trump and Pence Shit the Bed in 60 Minutes interview. Well, I believe this segment will be labeled the same except for Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine, because even though it's more subtle, so the shitting of the bed was more apparent in the case of Trump and Pence, but I will explain to you why I think Hillary and Tim Kaine shit the bed in this exchange. So here they are, and what they're going to do here is respond to a question about Donald Trump calling Hillary Clinton Crooked Hillary. So they're going to ask, okay, so he calls you that. What's your response? Go. You tell me how you're going to counter that narrative. Let's see what they have to say.
What do you call him?
I don't call him anything. And I'm not going to engage in that kind of insult fest that he seems to thrive on. So whatever he says about me, he's perfectly free to use up his own airtime and his own space to do. I'm going to talk about what he's done, how he has hurt people in business, time after time after time. The small businesses, the contractors, the workmen and women who he refused to pay after they rendered services, the total disregard that he has shown toward large groups of people in our country, his vicious language against immigrants, his insulting a distinguished federal judge of Mexican heritage, his mocking a person with a disability, his really inflammatory language about Muslims, about American Muslims, about Muslims all over the world, his demeaning comments about women. I'm going to respond to what he has said that I think is so fundamentally at odds with who we are as a nation, where we need to be heading in the future, and the kind of dangerous, risky leadership that he's promising.
I don't want to. She's done a good job of letting the water go off her back on this. That's not the way I feel. When I see this crooked Hillary, or I see the lock her up, it's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is beneath the character of the kind of dialogue we should have, because we got real serious problems to solve. And look, most of us stopped the name calling thing about 5th grade.
Not going to work. Not going to work. That's not a rebuttal. Crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary, so corrupt, takes all the money from the establishment, does their bidding. Is she a corporate puppet? I'm just asking. I'm not just asking. I'm saying she's a corporate puppet. You want somebody who's going to fight for the people? I'm going to fight for the people. Pick me. He made the argument. He said it during his speech at the RNC. He said, while she says, I'm with her, while that's her slogan, ours is, I'm with you, the American people. That's a good fucking line, man. You can call him as childish. You call him childish all day long, and there certainly is a grain of truth in that. Absolutely, he's childish. But will people overlook that if the message that's embedded in his childishness is right? Yeah. And he calls you Crooked Hillary, and that's kind of a fitting nickname. But notice, what's their rebuttal to it? Their rebuttal is a non-rebuttal. Tim Kaine said it at the end. Yeah, gosh golly, well, that's just ridiculous. He says Crooked Hillary, with all this name-calling. I can't believe there's so much name-calling. Most of us stopped that in 5th grade. We're better people than he is. That's not going to work, dipshit. It's not going to work. You don't get to say, name-calling is bad. He called it Crooked Hillary. Ridiculous. That's not a rebuttal. That's not a rebuttal. That's like, I'm going to take it on the chin and pretend like it didn't affect me. But it fucking affected you. You know it affected you. So, why do I think this is them shitting the bed? They're going to let him define the narrative. Guys, that's a big deal. Elections are about framing. Elections are about strategy. Elections are about making the better argument. Not appearing to be the most classy, making the better argument. So when he says Crooked Hillary, Crooked Hillary, Crooked Hillary, and then they ask her, well, how are you going to respond? And she's like, I'm not going to. I have no rebuttal. Well, then, Hillary, you can't get mad when everybody in the fucking country eventually starts to refer to you as Crooked Hillary. Every Republican on the country is gonna refer to you like that. And you're going to have a lot of people who you snubbed on the left, a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters, who are going to go, well, it is kind of true that she's super corrupt. So yeah, Crooked Hillary is kind of a fitting name. You let him define the narrative without rebutting it. And that is like an elementary mistake. So, and then on top of that, it's not just that he gets to define the narrative now without you rebutting it. It's also that you come across as incredibly sanctimonious and patronizing and condescending, and you come across as fake. Because you know what? That is fake. Like, even the way they're talking, like, I'm going to have good posture, and I'm going to speak like a politician and be cold and calculating, and me and my staffers didn't sit around for a week to try to figure out how to respond to this, except that's exactly what we did. And it just comes across, it smells funky. It doesn't smell genuine. You know, I am not going to respond to this because this is beneath the dignity of myself and the office. That's not an argument. That's not a fucking argument. So what would I do if I was her? If I was her, you go over the top of it. So she says to him, "Oh, you're Crooked Hillary. Look how much money you take." You guys already know what I call Donald Trump. I did a fucking ad over it. I go, "That's cute. You're terrorist Don." People are like, "Oh my God, you called him a terrorist?" Fuck yeah, I called him a terrorist. Why did I call him a terrorist? He basically called himself a terrorist. He said repeatedly, let's kill the families of terrorists. Not terrorists, the families. So you know what that means, right? Grandma and grandpa, toddlers, babies, women, children, innocent people. So he says, let's kill civilians on purpose for a political reason. That is the definition of terrorism. The textbook definition of terrorism. You're going to say that and expect me not to point a finger and go, oh, you're a terrorist. Do you think I'm stupid? How stupid do you think I am? So, this is the guy. You know what else I'd say? Oh, I'm Crooked Hillary. Is that right? He's terrorist Don. You know he had the nerve to say he's the law and order candidate. You want to talk about law and order? How about that time he said the Geneva Conventions is, quote, the problem? So he's in favor of law and order except for when he's not. Except when it's the ultimate law and order, the Geneva Conventions, in which case he says, I disagree with that. Or when he says, hey, I'm going to bring back torture. I'll bring back worse than waterboarding. I'm going to torture, quote, even if it doesn't work. This is a bloodthirsty son of a bitch here. He's trying to copy ISIS tactics. So for me to say he's terrorist Don is not a smear. It is factual. This is how you hit back. Instead, what's she doing? I'm going to lay back and let him fucking define the entire election as me being crooked. And what's the label against him? Nothing. Donut. Nada. Zilch. Zero. He gets to define himself however he wants, and how's he going to do that? Businessman, I'm so successful. I'm so superior in every way to everybody on the planet. I'm so great. I'm for the American people. So he gets to run around all day long and say shit like that, and what's your response? I have no response. I will not accurately attack him. I'll let him define me as Crooked Hillary. And then also, just a total pivot to issues that, you know, weren't really relevant to the topic at hand. He calls you Crooked Hillary because you're corrupt and you take money from big business. And what do you say? I will protect Muslims and immigrants and women. Okay, Hillary, I'm on your side on those ones. So, you know, this isn't coming from a place of malice. But that can't be your answer to everything. Like, no matter what the issue is, she's like, he's not for women or Muslims or immigrants. But that's not, what does that have to do with the fucking topic at hand? He called your ass corrupt. He called you Crooked Hillary. How are you going to respond? You don't respond by saying, I'm in favor of these groups. That's a different conversation and one in which I will defend you because you're right and he's wrong because he is a bigot. But this is what I mean when I say it's PC outrage that her campaign is doing. If every issue comes back to, I'm going to defend minority groups, you're not going to win the election on that. I want you to make the case that you're going to defend minority groups when that is the conversation and the debate you're having. When the debate is, you know, hey, he says you're corrupt. You respond, oh, I'm Crooked Hillary. Well, you're terrorist Don for these reasons. And by the way, you say you're not corrupt. You ripped Jeb Bush for having a billionaire donor, a specific one, and now that guy runs your fundraising efforts. You are deeply, deeply corrupt in your own right. You said, hey, I'm self-financing, and then but come the general, you're like, actually, I go back on that. I will now raise money from big money donors. This is a guy who says, "Oh, I'm against the TPP and I'm against trade. We got to create jobs in America." Then why the fuck are your products made in China and Mexico, you lying son of a bitch? Nobody forced you to outsource jobs. You chose to outsource jobs. Spare me how you'll fight for the American people. Spare me. You're not going to do it. If you wanted to bring the jobs back, you could do it right now. Bring your own jobs back, but you won't. You're not going to do it. You didn't even do it for yourself, so you're not going to do it for the country. This is how you respond. But no, it's PC outrage, and it's let him set the narrative and the framework. This is why I'm afraid that they're going to lose, because they're playing this fake I'm above the fray game. Everybody knows you're not above the fray. Look at how vicious and unfair you were to Bernie Sanders. Every low blow attack imaginable. Every low blow attack. We just covered the story. Smear him as an atheist. He'll do worse in West Virginia and Kentucky if you do that. Ooh, yeah. Let's pay trolls online to fight back against anti-Hillary arguments. You went way, way below the belt. But now all of a sudden that you're against Trump, you're like, oh, I'm not even going to respond. It makes no sense. Dude, they have no clue what they're doing. Hillary's in serious trouble. She's in real, real trouble.